Look at this sexy beast. This is the RSKAOS from Vosteed Knives. Really digging this one. I think you guys will too. Thank you for joining me. My name is Carter. This is Edged Mindset. We talk all things blades, knives, sharp stuff. Thank you for joining. Please like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But Vosteed Knives. So they've been pretty popular lately. They've done a bunch of designs that are of their own making, but they've also done some collaboration pieces, and that's exactly what this is. This is a collaboration with RS Knifeworks, who is a maker here in the US. You can check him out on Instagram as well as Facebook. He's doing some really cool stuff, has a really nice following. He's done some other collaborations as well, namely the Kaiser Extra Mini Paragon, and of course, the big brother, the Mini Paragon right here. I really like these knives. They're kind of deceiving. These knives, like I get so many comments, especially on this Mini Paragon, of how big this is and how could you carry that. I don't think it's as big as you think. It's a good sized knife, but look at that stock. It's not a super heavy duty overbuilt knife. From the profile, it kind of looks like it is, but it's really not. It is a slicer. It cuts really well. And especially the Extra Mini, which is a true mini size knife. This thing is a cutter right here. So, but you can see the design language, right? You can see that these are coming from the same designer. He is kind of known for these milled, grooved lines in the handle and the blade. You can see that on all of these here, including the Paragon. And this goes through to his custom knives that he produces as well. So really cool stuff. I like what he's doing. Let's do some specs here, just so everybody kind of knows what we're dealing with. About a 3.5 inch blade. Overall length is 8.5 inches. We can do some blade stock thickness for those that care about that kind of thing, outside of just visually looking. Like 0.16 is about what you're getting. Yeah, 0.157, so 0.16. Not too thick, not too bad. This comes in two different blade profiles, the Wharncliffe here as well as the sheep's foot. And before I forget, let's get a weight. It's got some heft to it. I mean, it's a solid metal knife. We're looking at 5.5 ounces, so very reasonable for a full metal stout folder of this size, in my opinion. Your opinion may vary. You may say this is a little too heavy for EDC and everyday carry. I think it's just fine. It's perfect for me. No problems there. Blade steel on this is M390, as you can see marked right there. Wharncliffe blade. Compound grind. Both are flat. This one is just a higher flat for better slicing. Then you've got this really thick grind on the back here. Not a lot of it though. Most of this is just this front grind. But if you did need to cut through some thicker, heavier duty things, maybe try to snap through some zip ties, you might want to try to use it back here where it's a little stouter behind that edge. A lot of chamfering going on, big spidey hole, everything is nice and smooth. This particular one has the kind of stone-washed black finish on it. You can also get this in satin, which is quite popular. There's a few exclusives with different accent colors, blue, and I think raw titanium. Full metal handle, as I mentioned. This is titanium slabs on this side, titanium slab on this side, milled titanium pocket clip, anodized gold. You've got pivot collar, anodized gold. A proprietary style screw with a T6 in there. No, T8. T8's all around. Really easy to take apart. I've taken this apart a bunch of times. I'll talk about that here in a minute, because I do have one small gripe with the one that I received, but we'll get to that here in a second. Semi-closed construction. You've got this milled pocket or milled backspacer here. Looks pretty cool. Some design flourishes. You can see the detail of the stone-washed black and finish on the handle as well. I think it looks really good. This gold like pops. Man, it pops. Lanyard hole in the back, nice and big. You can get anything you want through there. Ergonomics on this is outstanding. You can see my hand just fits it absolutely perfect. You don't really have much notable jimping here on the top though. So if you're a big jimping fan, you've got a couple notches, not a ton going on, not that great. But you don't really need it because you've got this choil right here for your finger. You're not going to slide up, you're not going to slip. You have a very firm, positive grip on this. You can also choke up with this choil here. I can get my full finger in here without nicking it on this edge, which is really, really nice. Deployment options, you have flipper hole, you have the back flipper, and of course you can front flip it as well. The action is excellent. It's running on bearings, super smooth. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that is this cool locking mechanism. What is it? It's essentially a compression lock on the opposite side. So a reverse liner lock. You can see that liner right back there, and that's what actually engages with the lock. To undo that liner, you press this button, which just goes all the way through the scales and pushes that for you. So unlike a compression lock on a Spyderco Paramilitary 2, which is the same thing, it's on the opposite side, you don't physically touch the liner to release it like you do here. Instead, you press this button that pushes it out of the way for you. So it's got kind of the benefits of both a button lock and a liner lock. So it is not a plunge lock. It's not what you would typically see on a button lock. And there's no coil spring involved. It's a regular liner back here that you engage with this button. So kind of cool. And I've taken this apart a number of times. So the lock actually is connected to this back spacer and clicks into place here. So it's really easy to take out and adjust or attempt to adjust. So that brings me to my only gripe with this. When I got it out of the box, the detent was a little light. It was lighter than it is now. I could actually just fling it open and it would fly open. I didn't like that. So first thing I did, take it apart, put some more bend in that liner there, but that proved to be tricky. It's difficult to tune this liner or this lock here. It's difficult to tune it exactly where you want it. So it took a lot of attempts of overbending, underbending, overbending, underbending. Part of the problem is it's kind of short. So a little bit of a bend has a big impact in how much it actually engages. And two, you have to remove it from the frame in order to do the bend. So it's a little bit harder to gauge how far you've bent it. On a traditional liner lock, like say this Paragon here, you can take out this whole liner piece and you can kind of eyeball how far the lock actually separates from the liner. And in real time, you can kind of bend it. You're like, oh, that's a little too small. That's a little too much. Okay, I think that's good, right? At least enough to test. With this, you kind of have to remove that whole piece and you're kind of running blind a little bit. It's harder to gauge how much you bent it. So it took a long time. I was running this with a detent that was too tough for quite a while, thinking it was good enough, but it proved difficult. I would slip off from opening it. I would go to flip it and I would slip off and kind of really tore up my fingers and my thumbs. So just today, which is what prompted me to finish this video, I took it apart again and I'm like, I am going to get this thing tuned up to perfection. So I did. Right now, this is absolutely perfect. I can't get it to flip open, but it's easy to actuate, easy to flip open, super smooth action, really, really nice. Now, your results may vary. I could have had one that was just maybe a little lighter than most. I haven't heard of anybody else complaining about the detent being too light, so maybe it was just mine. I did buy this new. It's not pre-owned. Nobody else has messed with it, but it could have just been maybe a little lighter tuned right out of the box. So overall, this is just a cool, in my opinion, it's a cool solid knife for the money to get a full titanium frame lock. I think these cost like $250, $260, somewhere around there. So it's not a steal of a deal, but considering you're getting a full titanium M390, really cool locking mechanism, amazing action in something that is very carryable, EDCable, and usable, I think it's a win. Plus, it looks really, really cool. So let me know, what do you think down below? Is this something you would ever get? Do you like this guy? Do you like this design? Let me know. I'll talk to you guys later.